Everybody, thank you so much for being here. This is so exciting. This is my first year doing this event, and it has just been a blast so far today, and I'm so pumped up to see everybody here in this room. So I want to start by acknowledging the fact that we have some very special guests with us tonight. So first of all, Congresswoman Barbara Lee. Congresswoman, thank you so much for joining us. I know that you've been a supporter since we were known as the East Bay Perinatal Council, and we are so excited to see you here tonight. Thank you. And then as well, I'd also like to acknowledge that we have another elected official with us tonight. It's Mary Cruz Diaz. Congresswoman Diaz, I am so honored that you are here as well. It means so much to us that you came out for this tonight. And then as well, I'd really like to thank all the people who have been able to make this possible. Now, without them, without a tennis committee is what I'm talking about, there is no event. So would the members of the tennis committee please stand up? And let's thank the first name, and then the second name, and then the third name, and then Lonnie and Kim. We've got Mariani Salman, we've got Helena and Peter Singlestad, and yeah, I did a little bit too, Daniel Whitaker. Next, I would also like to thank our board of directors. We have a fantastic board at Brighter Beginnings. They are so engaged and help so much with this event. So board members, would you please stand? Wonderful. So please join me in thanking Mariani Salmon, Bonnie Zell, Francine Jolton, Shauna Absher, Jim Hill, and somebody else who I'm forgetting. Holly Brock-Cohn. Okay, so now we're going to go into the program for tonight. So things are going to be pretty simple. We're going to have two speakers who I'm very, very excited about, and I'll tell you about them in just a moment. After we finish with our speakers, we're going to go right into our auction portion, and that's going to be really fun, and then we'll send everybody home here before 9 p.m. So let me start by introducing Dr. Barbara McCullough. Dr. McCullough is the Executive Director of Brighter Beginnings. And Dr. McCullough has been here since 1996, since we were known as the East Bay Perinatal Council. She is well-spoken, she is my boss, she's wonderful to work with, and I'm really happy to have her here. Please join me in welcoming Barbara.
Thank you, Daniel, for that introduction, and also thank you all for joining us tonight as we celebrate our 6th annual Playing Together for a Brighter Beginning fundraising event. I've now spent about a third of my life at Brighter Beginnings. I've come to really embrace our vision, where every family matters and every child has opportunities to be happy and healthy. For me, the work of Brighter Beginnings represents the integration and culmination of my life's purpose, combining everything that I have personally experienced in my family, friends, community, and my education and the 40-plus years I've spent in nonprofit work. I am absolutely passionate about what we do, why we do it, and why it works. I recently got in touch with the spark that started me on this path, and I'd like to take just a minute to tell you my story. I grew up in Tulsa, Oklahoma, the daughter of a Southern Baptist minister in the 50s and 60s. Tulsa, like the rest of the South, was very segregated. My school, church, and neighborhood were made up of working-class white folks. When I was 12, I distinctly remember a Sunday church service that was very unusual. There was a black couple who attended and wanted to join the church. I could tell that something was going on, but I couldn't really figure it out. So after church, I asked my dad, and he explained that the deacons had felt that they didn't really want to join the church. They were just trying to make a statement. I can tell you that that explanation made no sense to me then, and it makes no sense to me now. But what happened was that I began to think differently about the choices we make and about right and wrong and how our judgment impacts our actions. So jump forward with me 50 years to the communities that Brighter Beginnings lives and serves. The East and West Oaklands, the Iron Triangle of Richmond, the hard-hit cities of Pittsburgh and Antioch, These are really tough neighborhoods to raise happy, healthy, smart kids. And I'm sure that many of these children and families don't really feel like they matter to the rest of us. I am really passionate about changing and dedicated to changing that equation. Some of you may actually avoid going to Oakland or Richmond because you've read about the violence, and it seems to permeate the news much more than the day-to-day successes that we see. But beyond the violence and the income disparities, these families have the same dreams for their children that you and I do. They want them to be able to go to good schools, to play in safe and fun parks, to get good jobs, and to be in a position to contribute in many meaningful ways. But the realities of their lives impinges so much on this dream that hopes begin to fade, and the stresses affect not only their parenting, but also their health and even eventually their lifespan. Did you know that a child born in the hills of Oakland can expect to live 17 years longer than a child born just a few miles away in West Oakland? Most of the families that we serve are trying to raise families with incomes below the poverty line, which is $22,000 for a family of 4. Can you imagine that? A lot of our families are new immigrants and are English language learners. They're teen moms and dads who are scared and know very little about what it means to have a baby. And they're young dads whose own fathers were absent and who are just trying to understand what it means to be a father. And pretty much all of them are working hard and trying to ensure the best possible future for their kids with very little money. So we've put together a program that, in combination, works to make families and communities stronger and tackle the underlying problems associated with poverty. Usually, our families are facing more than one stressor, so it should come as no surprise that we do a lot of different things. Overall, what we're trying to do is provide support and space for parents to learn together and develop strong social networks, and to give critical information about sex and child development, while also providing concrete supports to these parents and kids when they need it, such as when they have no money left for diapers. But you may not know that we have a growing presence in the teen pregnancy prevention arena, helping teen parents plan for future babies after they graduate, and providing comprehensive sex education so that teens know how not to become pregnant. Seems simple, but it's really not. So our teen peer education program is for teen parents, where leaders of these groups volunteer to be part of panel presentations providing comprehensive sex education to local high schools. So they are the teachers of their peers about what it meant for them when they got pregnant in high school, and what they've learned about how to have safe sex and how to avoid pregnancy until they want it. It's a lot more effective hearing that from another teen than you can imagine from someone like me. After I finish, we're so grateful and pleased to have Mary Cruz Diaz, Mary Cruz Diaz, who was a participant in our Teen Family Support Program and our Alumni Leadership Academy, talk about her experiences and share her insights about how this has impacted her and others. A big component of our work is helping parents with babies and young children stabilize their lives so that there's a consistent, healthy environment for a child to grow up. So we have programs helping FOBs. You know what that is? Fathers of the baby. Get involved with their kids, such as Daddy Boot Camp. And we have efforts that focus on helping families understand banking and credit and best practices for money management. Finally, we also provide free medical and mental health care to low-income kids and the uninsured. Our RotaCare Free Medical Clinic is our biggest recent success. It's only been open since March, and in 5 months we've already had 309 visits, and that's 1 day a week. So I want to close by asking that all of you get as charged up about this as I am. The problems that families face just a few miles away from here are serious, and they impact us all. These families are raising the next generation of workers, and their health and ability to be productive will have an impact on our economy. Raising happy, healthy children is possible when families have the support and resources they need, as I'm sure all of you know. And we can't afford to leave so many behind. So this is the work of Brighter Beginnings, and I hope that you understand and agree that this is important work for us all. Raising successful children isn't cheap. It's not like software where we can do the work once and then sell it 1,000,000 times. Our work is in homes, in schools, and in communities where Brighter Beginnings staff work one-on-one with individuals and families. I've come to understand that if you really want to help someone raise a child or make a change in their life, you have to sit down with them, spend some time, bring all your care and expertise, and walk the path together, just like you did with your children. So tonight, please do what you can to support us. I know that everyone here understands how serious these problems are, and I want you to know that every dollar you share with us goes towards the families we serve. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for listening. Thanks for sharing my passion. And again, thank you for your support.
Woo! Yeah, thank you.
That was 8, yeah.
15 seconds.
Yeah, oh, that's totally
I'm gonna sit.
Barbara, thank you so much. That was wonderful. So I'm very excited to introduce our next speaker. Our next speaker is Mary Cruz Diaz. She is a wonderful person who I've gotten to know personally over the past couple of weeks. She is incredibly thoughtful, she is reflective, she is well-spoken, and I just find everything she says to be incredibly compelling. So please join me in welcoming Mary Cruz up here to the stage.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Mary Cruz Diaz. I was born and raised in Oakland, and I have a 2-year-old daughter named Melanie, who I had when I was only 17 years old. So when I first found out I was pregnant, it was really hard to tell my parents. I mean, I had never really talked to my mom much about sex. Maybe this is surprising, but it's really hard to talk about sex and birth control with your parents. High school wasn't much better. All the sex ed we had was just in high school biology. We probably needed a bit more though, because when I was a senior, there were 4 other girls pregnant in my same high school. Anyway, I was very worried about being judged by my parents because out of all my siblings, they saw me as the most likely to succeed. Not only that, but I was the youngest of 4. So I didn't say anything for 6 months. Finally, when I couldn't keep it a secret anymore, I decided to tell my dad. That was hard. It was scary to tell my dad. I think he was pretty shocked when I told him. When I was little, I was always a daddy's girl, and being pregnant at 17 was really awkward for him. But when I told him, he really surprised me. He was so supportive. He said that he was going to be there for me. I actually had a hunch that he already knew and was just waiting for me to confirm it. I had Melanie the Friday after I came back from winter break. I met Brighter Beginnings that same night. I went to go see her in the nursery, and there was a Brighter Beginnings where we were writing things down, and she told me about Brighter Beginnings. I really didn't know what she was talking about or understood what the program was really about, but I signed up anyway. Bringing Melanie home was so exciting, but I was also scared. Suddenly, I had to take care of a newborn, and I didn't really know what to do. That's why I was so thankful for Sophia. She was my Brighter Beginnings family advocate. She would come over to my house and ask me questions about how I was doing, how I felt, and if I needed anything. It was great to have Sophia in our lives because I really didn't have anyone else around who could explain to me how to raise a baby. I had already moved out, so my mom could only help so much. Sophia would always talk to Melanie and play with her and bring her books and toys. When I needed stuff like diapers or healthy snacks, Sophia would bring that over too. She knew a lot about what to expect with Melanie growing up. And if she didn't know something that I asked about, she would always come back with answers the next time I saw her. For instance, I was pretty worried about how little Melanie was eating when she was a year old. But Sophia told me kids don't actually need to eat that much at that age. She explained how your stomach is only about the size of your fist. So when I looked at Melanie's tiny hands, that made sense. Having a professional to tell you things that are right and to provide things that you really need, like products and information for kids Melanie's age, really helped. Eventually, Melanie got really used to her and started almost seeing her as a member of the family. I did too, because she was a friend that I didn't have, one that I could talk to about my living situation. I wound up learning so much from Sophia and other Brighter Beginning folks. They really saw me as a whole person and helped make motherhood so much easier for me. So after Melanie was born, I went back to school. It was really hard to readjust. I had always been a really good student, on honor roll and everything, but I was so disappointed in myself. And since I had Melanie in the middle of the school year, it was really hard to get back into my classes. For instance, in English, they were already on a different book. But I decided to work really hard. I wanted to do it for Melanie. I wanted her to see me as a role model. I wanted to show her that even though I had her as a teenager, that didn't stop me from pursuing my goals and moving ahead.
Yeah.
And I wanted to prove to her that your life doesn't just stop because you have a kid at a young age. So I was determined to finish high school and even graduated with good grades. I would stay up super late studying with a book in one hand and Melanie in the other. And even though my grades dropped when I first came back, I turned things around.
Yeah.
I wound up not only graduating, but with a GPA of 3.92.
Yeah.
I don't know if this would have been the same if I hadn't been with Brighter Beginnings. I think they had a lot to do with me being able to find myself and finish high school and get good grades. And I know a lot of people at school and in my community for whom it didn't turn out the same way. So once Melanie was more of a toddler than an infant, I got involved with Brighter Beginnings training programs. It was so great to be around other teen moms. There were mothers that I could make friends with and really relate to. The Brighter Beginnings staff shared a lot of information that I didn't have otherwise. For instance, did you know on car seats that they have an expiration date? It's 6 years. That stuff is really critical to know, especially for me because Melanie had a hand-me-down car seat. And we talked not only about baby stuff like that, but also relationships. We talked a lot about our partners. It was good to figure out ways to not be pressured to have sex or get abused physically or mentally. So after Early Head Start, Sophia recommended that I participate in the Alumni Leadership Academy, or ALA. At first, I wasn't really sure if I wanted to do it, but once I got involved, I liked it. I was around more teen moms again, but this group was even more exciting because it was people who I could relate to and who were closer to my age. We were all more mature, wanting to tell our stories together and wanting to help other teens and build our own futures. One of the ways we practice the leadership role of Allah is through public speaking, like what I'm doing now. One of the things that means is doing research on sex ed and then presenting that to high school students. And it's really different for high schoolers to get sex ed from someone their own age. When it's someone who has gone through it, it really strikes a nerve for them. And plus, I learned a lot about some birth control methods that I didn't even know about. Now I get to teach other teens about that and safe sex. Allah has really helped me and everyone in it flourish. These days, all we talk about are plans for school and jobs. And when we want to learn about something else, the facilitators bring that topic to us and we learn everything we can about it. Overall, being in Allah really gives us the time to think about ourselves. It gives me time to set goals and make plans for how to achieve them. Since I've had Melanie, Brighter Beginnings has really helped in so many ways. First, there's all the information my family advocate gave me. She was such a great resource and helped me a lot to learn about being a mother. And I love having this chance to speak at high schools and events. It gives me a chance to give back. Now I'm helping other kids learn so they can delay their own pregnancies. And now I can put a face to my story, to myself and my daughter. I can show people that all teen parents aren't the same. And you know, Brighter Beginnings just gave me so much support along the way. Like, they would always go above and beyond to solve a problem. I think a lot of people see being a teen parent as a bad thing. And yeah, we are trying to help other teenagers not get pregnant because it really does complicate life. But Brighter Beginnings, they help you turn it into something positive, and they help you be the best parent you can be. So thank you so much for listening. It's scary to talk to so many of you at the same time. I know this is a fundraiser, so I just want to say, please do what you can to support Brighter Beginnings. They have done so much for me and my peers. And I know mine's and Melanie's life is going to be so much better for it. There are a lot of other teen moms out there too, and I think they need this kind of help as well. With your help, they will be able to do that and so much more. And they can reach out to even more teen parents that are struggling. Thank you so much.